Oh, if I could just bundle up this conversation and the positive vibes and the excitement that I get from this conversation and share it with you every day when you need it most, I would. I am so pumped for you to meet my friend Maghon Taylor, who is the artist and the owner behind All She Wrote Notes. She is a fellow member of the Boutique Hub and Retail Bootcamp, and she has an incredible business, you guys. I am so excited for you to deep dive and to dissect how she has not only built her business as an artist, but also with licensing agreements, her business as a retailer with a showroom and a wholesale company and an e-commerce site, and how she gives back and really inspires other people. You guys, she is a ray of sunshine, and I am feeling so energized and charged after hearing her speak. So I will not keep you waiting. Get to meet my friend Maghon Taylor, the owner of All She Wrote Notes. Let's talk about your business, strategy, and the juicy details of what actually works, from mainstream fashion to fashion on Main Street, and the entire ecosystem behind it. How do we scale your company and do it with the balance and the happiness that we all seek? Let's hear from those insiders, experts, and strategists that actually make it happen. I'm your host, Ashley Alderson from the Boutique Hub, and I can't wait to chat. Hey guys, welcome back this week. This is going to be a high energy, awesome experience podcast. I am so pumped for this. Maghon with All She Wrote Notes, the artist, the founder. You are a creative business owner, let me just say, and we are going to discover some awesome things today. Thank you for being on the show with me.
Thank you so much. I'm a big fan, I'm a listener, and I'm so honored to be here.
And a part of the Boutique Hub on top of it. I love that.
Yes.
So when I first started to dig into your business, Maghon, I was like, wait, okay, she does this, and then she does that, and then she does this. Like, this is so unique. I love everything you have going on, and it's bright and beautiful and colorful on top of it. So before we get into all the weeds, just take me back and tell me about what you do from the start.
Yes, absolutely. I started my company in 2013. I am a lettering artist and a calligrapher. I'm an author, and that came about much later in the company. And then now, as of this past year, I actually have a storefront studio in Gibsonville, North Carolina. And so our growth has been very slow and steady along the way, but uniting everything, my mission is spreading happiness through my handwriting, Ashley. So that is always the thread that binds it all together. And it's just been a really awesome journey.
How did you first discover, like, when you were really little, you discovered you had this gift, like the gift of art? That was always like creative side of your brain?
I would say middle school is really where I just fell head over heels in love. I was the girl that carried around the bag of markers. I love passing notes in class. Even my name Maghon is spelled funny. It's Maghon, which is not how you spell Maghon. Like, my mom made that up. She said that she spelled it that way because it looked prettier to write. So all along, good call, Mom. My grandmother was a very creative artist. I watched her sell art like in her front yard and sell, those cool t-shirts with the puffy paint and the sweatshirts. And just people in the community knew of her and knew who she was because of her art. And so in the back of my mind, I knew that was a possibility. I went to school. I did broadcast journalism was my main dream. I have way too much of a Southern accent to make that happen. So I got into event planning and actually sports marketing for about 7 or 8 years, and I started my hand lettering and calligraphy company on the side. I was working full time. A lot of people want to start their business because they want to leave their job, but I loved my job. I was working at my alma mater, which is Carolina, UNC, and it was wonderful. I loved all the energy. I loved everything about it, but I just really missed being creative and found myself coming home from work and doing calligraphy, doing art. I was in a season where a lot of friends were getting married and just opportunities were coming up that they needed lettering and they needed that for their wedding. And so my business started with one set of note cards on Etsy in 2013. I did not have internet. I was posting from my iPhone 4 and we made our very first sale a couple days later to someone that we didn't know, and just one thing at a time. The rest is history. So now we're about to actually this week gonna have our collection in 500 Walmart stores. We're in shelves nationwide. Yeah, we started with one set of brown craft paper handwritten note cards, and now we're in Walmart. So
Okay, there's a lot to unpack right there. Like you can't just drop it like it's hot and walk away. That's amazing. So, first of all, let me go back because the first thing I heard you say that really popped out at me was you watched your grandma, right?
Yes.
And I feel like so many times with art specifically, everyone's like, "Oh, great, you have this gift, but what would you actually do with it?" Like a lot of people have a hard time monetizing being an artist. So, was there a pain point in there for you? Was there a struggle of like, "Okay, I'm going to make these cards, but like, do I really believe people are going to buy them? And like, how is this going to take off?" How did you start from the very beginning and start to grow from that point forward?
I never had the end goal in mind. I didn't put all the pressure on my little cute Etsy shop to
Yeah,
be a nationwide company, a big brand. I was just having fun. I was
yeah.
putting my creative energy into something that I loved and that I enjoyed. And Ashley, it grew like literally one word, one letter at a time. And I mean, there are big things happening now, and I work so hard, and I believe that God has put a lot of things in my path, but I did not have those goals or those dreams back then. I was just creating for the fun of it, for the joy of it. And in a lot of ways now, if it ever becomes not fun, if it ever becomes something that I'm not creative and I'm not passionate about, I know that something needs to change.
Yeah, I think what you said a minute ago, you said, I was just having fun. And I think if all of us could go back to the most successful seasons of our business, that would be the common thread that's weaved throughout. And I'm sure you could speak to this too. Are there moments where you're like, you know what? I'm not having fun in this moment. I need to go back and like change something. And
Yes.
that's true for me too. And I know it's true for so many successful businesses. Talk to me about those moments. Like if you feel like, oh, this isn't fun, how do you bring it
Something
back?
Yeah, something huge for me, a big dream I had later on. And once I figured this out, oh, this has wheels, like this is
Yeah.
moving, this is a business. I wanted to be able to see my art on shelves in stores. I thought that would be amazing. I taught lettering classes in boutiques nationwide. So I was constantly in stores. I was driving my car. I was flying on planes, like going in small shops, like for years and years. And I thought it would be really cool if they could sell my stuff. And so I got some amazing licensing partners, like some amazing licensing opportunities where I'm actually selling my artwork to a much larger company, and then they're going to market, selling it, producing it, like all those things, which is amazing. Like I love that model. I love it so much even now. But there was a season where actually, as we all know, like our lives kind of got flipped on their head in 2020, and all of my live events, which was my bread and butter at the time, were overnight canceled. And I started to just try to shift my weight onto the other foot. Like, okay, we've made these products, we can make things, like we can sell more items. And I had always had an online shop, but that wasn't my number one source of income. It was actually the in-person events. And so in 2020, we really put a lot of effort and force into product creation and like having that stuff made and manufactured, having it shipped on pallets to my garage at my house. Like it was so crazy. And that piece, when I got out of the in person and when I got out of actually physically writing, because so much of it was like digital and design,
Yeah.
I was missing a piece. Like I was missing my favorite part was the people and the actual writing. And it's like, that was what started everything, but we had grown, which was amazing. And we had chased a passion and followed a dream. And I wouldn't change anything because that's what kept us afloat. Like that's what kept us alive in 2020. But
Yeah.
I really missed just the art and the people so much. And I knew as soon as I could, I had to get back to that.
I love that's such a huge piece because so many times as businesses grow and scale, it's like they lose that. Like they go back and like hibernate in running and working in the business and not necessarily on the business so much, and they get lost. Um, I have to go back to a decision that you said you had to make about licensing, right? Like I wanted to see my product in stores on shelves. A lot of people make that choice, but then they decide, okay, I'm going to make these things and I'm going to directly wholesale them myself. You, however, decided to go the licensing route. How did you like weigh that decision and come to make that decision?
I've always been a party of one, meaning like I'm the one employee. I hired one of my best friends about a year ago, and she comes one day a week, 2 days a week, and helps me pack orders. But I knew for wholesale, I knew what that took, unless you have a really strong passion for clear bags and like the little strip that has static and gets stuck to your finger. Like I knew I would be cussing that. I knew it would not be good for me if I was having to like produce and
Yeah.
package all of that by myself. I know now, years later, you can hire that out. You can find other companies, you can, bigger, they can do that for you. But back then, I felt like it was going to be too much for me to take on.
Hmm.
And I was approached by a company from my same state, another woman-owned business that I, just had a really great opportunity for us to grow together and kind of figure this out with each other.
Hmm.
And we're still working together now. And so, like, being able to just at the beginning, I was just selling my letters and selling my words. I didn't really have a ton of input on what would be made. And then sometimes I would walk into an anthropology and be like, oh, I read that. Like, oh, look, I read that. That's so cool. I would buy it like at the I pay full price and like bring it home because I was so excited. And now, years later, I think we've just both seen the value of collaboration. And like, I come up with ideas, I come up with sayings. It's all my colors now, which are like all the colors, super bright rainbow colors. And like now, it's much more of like my brand instead of my writing. So
Yeah.
that's grown over time. And I've got several licensing partnerships with different companies. I mentioned I'm an author. I've had 3 books published with a 4th on the way. And
Wow.
I've actually been able to create licensing opportunities there. So one of the books is a children's book, and they wanted to make a doll and a book bag and a keychain and like all these assets to go along with the children's book. And so that's just another opportunity to create those licensing partnerships. And that's
Mhm.
been huge for me because a big passion that I've had since the beginning of my company is trying to remain debt free, like not going in the hole, like not doing credit cards or loans to be able to grow and scale. And when you're partnering with someone that's that much bigger than you, they're ordering 1,000 of it. I can buy 100 like from them. And that has been
Yeah.
able to just let me feel lean, feel creative, feel settled,
Mhm.
and not feel stressed and afraid of the money piece that I know is probably still my biggest struggle is cash flow, but
Yeah.
being able to like grow slow and steady and just not get too far out over my skis.
Yeah, that's so important. I'm a huge Dave Ramsey fan.
Yes.
So, like, a lot of that is like at the core of me. I totally agree with. And I'm thinking of so many people that I know in and out of the hub that are amazing artists, and they feel like their only route is to go put it on a t-shirt.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden now they're in a screen printing shop doing what they really don't want to be doing because
Yeah.
they want to be creating the art.
Right.
So talk to me about if someone is listening today and they're like, okay, Megan, what is a licensing agreement? How does that work? How do I find a partner? And how do I make sure I don't get taken advantage of? What advice would you give them?
I would say find brands that you already like to shop with, that you already are drawn to. Like if you walked into a store and you're like, oh, I love this slant coaster, or I love this mud pie thing, or, I like find brands that you already align with, that you feel like your art aligns with. And I think that's going to just be an easier, happier partnership. I met most of my connections like at market, like going to market, going to their booth, getting, not interrupting, because at that time I was not a buyer. I just wanted to like immerse myself in the brand, like get to know what they're about. I was a customer like of these brands. Both of my biggest partnerships, I was a customer of both brands
Mhm.
before we ended up working together. And so it, I think just finding somebody that has similar values to you, like just someone that you trust, like you're going to ride the wave. We've had highs, we've had lows together. But just finding somebody that at the end of the day, y'all come back and like you're on the same page, like you have the same heart, you have the same like vision and goals. And then just having contracts, like having, one of the companies I work with is Hallmark. Like my publisher Dayspring is owned by Hallmark. And so their legal team is like tremendous. So, I mean, they're so quick. They have a contract for everything. And like just having your trusted people to be able to look over that. I'm not great at negotiating, but something like being afraid to ask for more, like, hey, we haven't raised my rate in 4 years. And I actually think my brain's a little bit more valuable now than it was 4 years ago. So like, can we try this again? Or, being able to negotiate, like for me, a huge piece of it that I make a little bit of money licensing, but actually make more buying it and then turning around and selling it back. And I learned from you a lot in the hub about what your margins need to be, not just a 50% markup, like maybe trying to push that higher and higher. And so I renegotiated one of my licensing contracts on the latest book to give me a 75% discount so that when I buy them myself, I'm getting that deep, deep discount. And then I'm turning around and marking them back up. So like, yes, I'll get my commission, but actually it's more valuable to me on that margin piece.
Hey, real quick, are you already a member of the Boutique Hub? If you are, I see you. I'm so pumped that you can join us each and every day to learn how to grow and optimize your business and to make a ton of friends along the way. But if you're not yet a member of the Hub, inside of the Hub, which is core to everything we do, we focus on 3 main parts of life and business. Number 1, community, because this is a lonely road. And each and every day in the Hub, we have 14 niche Facebook groups based on your business type and your business size, so you can get the help and meet others that are at the same stage of business that you are, for daily connection, tips, and inspiration inside of our groups. The second piece that's so important to us at the Hub is education. Inside of the Hub, you have access to live guest experts every week, twice a week, plus our monthly training bundles, content calendars, our weekly social media engagement, ideas and graphics, our app so you can learn on the go, and all of the live and in-person training that we also do here at the Hub. Education is absolutely key. From a brand new business owner to a multi-business owner, multi-million-dollar business owner, there's training for each level inside the Hub. And finally, wholesale is a huge piece of what we do, with nearly 1,000 vetted and trusted wholesale brands inside of the Hub and on hubventory.com, our brand new wholesale marketplace. We want to make sure that you're not just buying for your boutique, but you're investing. And you're investing with trusted partners with awesome products you can't wait to share with your audience. So please join us now, if you aren't already a member, at theboutiquehub.com/join. And I'll see you inside the community.
That is dynamite. If you guys are listening, please rewind and listen to that. Good for you for negotiating that. That's brilliant. And then you own your brand.
Yeah.
They can license it out. And yes, that gets you into Walmart and Anthro. I mean, that's pretty dang cool. But for you to then build your own brand. So what other lessons have you learned in terms of then buying your own wholesale back, right, from this agreement, and then scaling your brand? Are there lessons you feel like you've learned big along the way?
I think just not having all your eggs in one basket has been a hard lesson over time. We have started to dip our toe in manufacturing. We always did stickers. We always did magnets. We always did t-shirts, actually with the local vendor. But I've started doing my own overseas manufacturing lately. That is like a whole thing like that. I'm not passionate about that. But I know that just for our future and our infrastructure, we need a backup plan. If you are hitched to this cart and that cart goes down, what's going to happen to you? So I just want a more diverse portfolio, in a lot of ways, and just being able to just be able to not have everything on one page. Maybe you do home decor with someone, maybe you do t-shirts with someone, maybe you do, wall art. There's just different areas like drinkware. You could kind of pick one company that you really go deep with them on that item, but then maybe try somebody else for something different. And I, at the very beginning, I was just very siloed. I had one person, I wanted to be so loyal. We were married. I was us and them. But then other opportunities came along and it actually benefits everyone. A rising tide lifts all boats. So if I'm able to make my brand larger, they're still going to benefit from that because it's more recognizable. When they're in a store, more people have seen it. It's had a wider distribution. And, just learning as you go, not being afraid to try things, or to ask. If you don't ask, the answer is always going to be no. So just putting it out there and asking and trying to keep one of the hardest parts for me is I want everyone to be happy. I want everyone to love me. I don't want there to be issues or conflict or stress or worries. And being able to receive a business decision that isn't personal. Like
Yeah.
when something is cut because the margins weren't making it right. It wasn't that your idea was bad. They just, I mean, it's cheaper for them to do it a different way. And understanding and knowing that, that keeps me going like that. I got to keep it up. I got the whole mission, is positivity and happiness. And so I just can't get knocked down on hard days and like hard moments or things like that. You just got to keep it rolling and know that God's going to take care of it. Something else is going to come your way.
Yeah, that's so good. Such good advice. Such good advice, because I'm sure as an artist, like that's a piece of you.
It is.
It feels so personal. I think about that even like with our graphic design team when I get feedback on things they send in, and I'm like, I hate that. And they're like, it's okay. It's no big deal. Like, I don't take it personal. I mean, that is a gift. But it's the same if you have a retail business and you really have to analyze the numbers and say, okay, what is my margin per category, per vendor, right? Per style? Or, did I just get too attached because I drank 3 margaritas while I bought this at market last time? Like, what really was going on? That's really, really good feedback. Are there other lessons you feel like you've had to learn the hard way as you've scaled your business?
I think buying, like, no, I used to have only maybe 12 products that we were working on together. And every time the orders would come around, I would be like, I want at least 100. I want to start with 100 of everything. Like, my people were excited. I didn't care if I sat on it for a year. I wanted it in there. I just wanted to just have it. If someone posted on Instagram 6 months later, guess what? You can still get it. Come on over. But we were still ordering hundreds, and then our product SKUs increased to like 50. And your girl does not have room for that many items. And so I just hit this moment like, oh my goodness, like we're outgrowing like everything. And since you're trying to buy more and trying to pay cash, like just getting a hold of that, like it felt like I was lassoing like a horse. Like I just didn't, it grew faster than like my mind caught up with it. So we overbought on like certain pieces that like I would give you. Like if you would pull, like I don't want them, I don't like them, I don't even post about them. Like it's just funny, like certain things, because I was just kind of in that autopilot. But now I feel like I have a better handle on like, A, how much space we have, B, like how much money is okay to sit there. And then I've learned a lot, like with you, like in the hub, like turning things over, like knowing when to like let it go, and that was a lot of hard lessons to learn sometimes, like, but we're figuring it out. And in 2020, when the events were canceled, when we started doing more product, I kind of mentioned we were starting to have like bigger and bigger shipments come to our home, which is where I had run the business for the whole first 8 years. And my husband, Chris, bless his heart, he was home furloughed from work. And he was like, oh my God, there is SHIT in our garage, in our dining room, in our guest room, in our attic. Like, how are you doing this? Like, he was like blown away. Like, he could not even, like, I mean, I'd been doing it for years, but he was never there. So he just didn't know and didn't see it. And he was like, you've got to get this out of the house. Like, how are you even, like, this is not efficient. And he very lovingly, like, gave me a push out of the nest, like saying, like, that's all she wrote from here. Okay. Like, you got to do something else. And I bought a building. So I knew there was a really cute town about 5 minutes from my house that feels like a Hallmark movie. We spent our Saturdays there, and I knew that's where I wanted to be. I bought a 80-year-old doctor's office and paid cash for the building. And then my dad and I worked alongside each other for a year and a half renovating to what is now our studio and our storefront. And it was amazing the way that like God worked that out and made that happen, because I never had that dream. I didn't want to move. I didn't want more space. I didn't want to store. And there were so many other opportunities that I was actually pursuing and chasing, actually LA TV shows, like opportunities like that when COVID happened. And I was like, okay, well, I thought this is what we're doing. And had I pursued that, I would never have this. And just the way that it all came together, like honestly, even in 2020 and 2021, not traveling like I used to, I had the time to be here. Like I physically worked with my dad with hammers and nails and saws to build this place. And now I wouldn't trade that for anything in the world. Like that time with him, like truly putting in the sweat, the tears, the blood, like I did it. And to sit here now, a year and a half later, we own the business, we own the building. Now, it took years off my life to do it that way. I don't necessarily know that I would like do it exactly the same way again, but it's amazing, and it's exactly where I was supposed to be. I feel so at home. I feel like we're being able to really put our mission out into the community now, whereas I was trying to run all over the world. Now I'm here and I'm being able to bring people here, and it's the best thing in the world.
Oh man, everything happens for a reason. I'm such a firm believer, right? God only gives you what you can handle. And
Yes.
He gave that to you on purpose. I love that. You must, thinking about that transition right through 2020, and also given your background in broadcast journalism, video has to be a big part of what you do. Talk to me about video marketing in your brand.
So that's something huge that we actually have just started. Like I've always been on stories. I've always, had like a good branding video or whatever, but we have not invested in that until just recently. And so we're going to be launching actually this month a web series called Make It with Megan.
Yay!
And I'm going to be doing like craft, like short 5 to 7 minute video segments, trying to, it's almost like I shifted. I used to be everywhere. Now I'm just here. People are coming here and I'm like, wait, now I want to give this experience to other people that are at home. And so we're not at this plan. There's no plans to charge for it. We just want to give that content and push that out to be able to bless other people. But we have fun projects planned, like all kinds of seasonal words and phrases. And we actually, the broadcast journalism connection, I was on the news locally, and one of the anchors came to me and were like, hey, I have a production company. Would you want to work with us to produce this show for you? And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, 100%. Yes. Like, sign me up.
Oh, that's awesome. That must also for you like tie into PR a little bit because you have such a great story to share. How have you been able to leverage like media connection, media relationships to tell your story and just to serve others in a unique way?
I've never paid for advertising, but we have gotten a lot of local exposure just with different events and different things we've done. We went on a book tour in 2019 and went to 11 states. And in a lot of those states, I was able to go on their local station and, teach a craft or teach something. And then just being able to have that, those clips and that reel to be able to show whenever we pitch ourselves anywhere, like here locally. We're able to be on Hallmark Home and Family before they went away. And that's really the change. Like that's the direction I wanted to go so bad. And then now we're like all the way back around and we're just doing it ourselves. So like until a network like Joanna picks me up or something, like we're going to be putting this on YouTube, but on our own channels and just being able, like my dream, like if you had asked me, 5 years ago, what do you want to do? Like I would have said, I want to be my generation's Bob Ross. Like I want to teach for free on TV. I want to like give positive, like, little nuggets that you can carry with you. Like, yes, we're doing art, but this is about life too.
That's so good. Who would have thought Bob Ross would have such a life cycle like he has? My kids literally, this is so random that you say that. My kids were talking about Bob Ross on the way to school today, and they're 8, 11, and 12. Like, why do you even know who Bob Ross is? But I think what you've created that's so beautiful is you've built a real lifestyle brand. And it's not about selling product. And I think every single boutique owner under the sun needs to hear this. Whether you sell apparel or kids or lifestyle or whatever you sell, it's not about selling the product. And you're such evidence of that. It's about serving people and meeting them where they are and really like giving them content that they can use or education or just that feel good piece. And then the product sells itself.
It does. And I feel like when you have that mission, like our mission is spreading happiness. So everything we make, everything we say, every video, every post is run through that filter, right? Like I want to make art that's going to sell you this feeling. So when you buy that, when you bring that happy tumbler into your home, you're going to elevate your mood. Like when you have that art and all these products that we make, we say it's like we put the fun and functional, like it's stuff that you use, like it's stuff that you use every day and you're going to see it every day. And I am such a believer that our words that we surround ourselves with matter, and we get to put that art on products and people are reading those words and absorbing those words. And I think it's a feeling, like it's that energy that we're being able to put out into the world. And now that we have our storefront, like now that we have our studio, like I stand by the door and watch people walk in and they just light up, like their face, like you see it, like we've created like an immersive experience. Like no detail is left unturned. I'm a huge Disney fan. Like that's the kind of energy, especially when we were building it ourselves. Like the sky was the limit. Like anything I could dream up, my dad and I could do. And we did it. And now we're only open the first Saturday of every month for shopping, but people line down the block to come in. Like they get so excited. They put it on their calendar. They show up, they come in here. We say it's the book fair energy. So like I have been chasing the high of the Scholastic Book Fair my entire life, Ashley. Like there was no better day in school than the book fair. Like I'm actually, not to brag, I'm volunteering at my son's book fair on Monday. So I will not be here. I will be at the book fair. But that is what I wanted to capture. Like I wanted that feeling for customers, like when they're excited the night before and looking on the website, like, okay, when I get there, I'm going to get these 3 things and this is my budget and this is what I'm going to do. And it gives me chills to like tell you that because we see it, like we built it and we made it happen. And then you know what? The book fair heads out of town and we'll see you back in a few more weeks. Like we'll see, like we'll see you again soon. Yes.
Oh, I love that analogy. That's so spot on. Oh my gosh. There are so many other things I could just deep dive into, but I think like what you're saying right now is possible for every single person listening. And I just want to sit in that moment because what you're excited about, you sell. And that is so evidenced in your brand. And that's so evidenced in every single one of our brands, right? If there's boutique owners who are listening who want to like, how can I carry your product or how can I learn more or how can I just be your friend and collaborate with you? What's the best way for boutique owners to do that?
Yes, my Instagram is All She Wrote Notes. Our website, allshewrotenotes.com. And then we have wholesale collaborations with Mary Square, with Michelle McDowell, with Dayspring. That's where all my books are from. We also have a collaboration with Kingfolk Co. that is like custom Bibles and Bible tabs, and hoping and praying for lots more of those opportunities. So we are just so grateful and so honored, to even be here. Like this is beyond my wildest dreams, like everything that I'm getting to do. I just say, I'm just so grateful every single day. Like, I'm just happy that this gets to be my job and happy that, I get to be able to bless other people in the process.
I love that. Megan, last question. And I know you've heard me ask this question before, but you and I both know this is not about products. It's not about like this moment in time, but it's about what you leave behind. So when you're sitting on that front porch 30 years from now and you're reflecting on all that you've had this opportunity to build and create, be a part of, what's the thing that you hope people do remember most about you and your journey?
I want them to remember how I made them feel, like how it made them feel to be here, to be in our store, to feel seen, to like, I literally write their names down. Like, that's my favorite thing to do, like lettering their name. And I just want them to feel known and to feel seen and just to know that like the little things in life are so worth celebrating. Like, you don't have to wait for a special occasion. Like, life is the special occasion. Like, our big thing is confetti. Like, literally like confetti is trash that chose a happier life, and looking for ways that you can turn like hard seasons, hard things, mistakes into something good. Like, what good can come out of that? And we're constantly making confetti. And I hope that legacy gets to stay with me for the rest of my life.
That's beautiful. I love that. Megan, thanks so much for being on the podcast today. Your energy is just so contagious. This is wonderful. I really appreciate getting to chat with you. And everyone who's listening, of course, you are also inside a member of the Boutique Hub. We're so grateful for that as well. So thanks for sharing your story with us today.
Thank you, Ashley. Thanks for having me.
You bet.
Hey guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode. We hope that you loved it. Don't forget to hit subscribe and leave a rating and review down below for a chance to be one of our featured listeners each and every week. For more information on our spirit of community over competition and how to access complete show notes and bonus downloads from our guests, head on over to theboutiquehub.com and join the community. We'll see you next week.